Hey, Svitlana.
Hello, Arne.
It is nice to see you. You look so good in purple.
You do too. Matching.
Of course, we have our matching colors. If we don't have matching colors on, we try to put on the colors which are contem- contempla- complementary.
Complimentary.
There we go. Talking about compliments, I see there's a lot of chess pieces again. So we're in the opening territory again?
No, not really.
Oh,
I thought since it was International Women's Day recently, it would be a good time to look at the games of one of the best female players of all time, which is Judit Polgar.
perfect. I love it. Let's go for it. Excellent. Yeah, unfortunately, we couldn't do the show yesterday. It would have fit so perfect. Ah, sorry for that. It was my fault. So, yeah, and this show will even be a couple of days later after the Women's Day. Well, the spirit counts, I guess. And you can never have enough of Judith Polgar because she's just she's awesome. So,
Of course, I think she's pretty much my favorite player if I had to pick one.
mhm.
Even beats Kasparov in my eyes.
Ooh, whoa, whoa, whoa.
And you know how
Commenters,
much I like
commenters.
Kasparov.
Keep your horses down. Okay, so yeah, so you did place against Vichy.
Yeah, and
That
I think this
was
is
tough.
considered one of her best games, which is why I want to show it.
Excellent.
And it started also in an interesting opening, and we can discuss the opening territory a bit too.
Mhm.
So it starts off with
We all
the
know it.
Najdorf setup. And now one of the things that Black can do is play e6. So there's also the e5 Najdorf, and then there's also the e6 one, which goes more into the Scheveningen territory. And here, Judith goes g4. And
I love her.
and this is I knew you would like this opening move. This is called the Keres attack. And it is a very interesting line, and we all know Judith for her very dynamic style of play. So she always tried to go for the attack, try
Certainly, yeah.
to play very interesting chess with a lot of sacrifices. So this fits her style very well, and she had some of her really good wins, especially in this line. So this line is I would really recommend it, especially to someone who considers themselves a tactical player. Um, what Black can reply, so you're going to see that this line leads to White sacrificing a piece.
Mhm.
In case, so the main line is to go e5, but just in case Black does something else, it actually proves the purpose of this g4 move. Let's say something like h6. White just continues the main plan of g5, except does it a lot quicker than usual. So that's the power of this g4 move, is that in case Black doesn't really know what to do and doesn't know the main line, then it's very easy to already get a better position and have your plan carried out very quickly.
Mhm.
But e5 is the main move here. So
Which
usually
is
we're used to,
it's funky
yeah,
because you already play e6 and e5. It feels a bit like a tempo loss, but it probably makes sense.
right. But here it's not exactly a tempo loss because you're also attacking here. So the
Yeah.
knight actually doesn't really have choices of where it's retreating. Well, if it retreats somewhere else, then you lose the pawn on
Mhm.
g4 for not really too much reason. But knight f5 is the main move, and this is where the piece sacrifice comes in, is that and why Black played this e5 move is because now this knight on f5 is sort of stuck here after it gets attacked. So it's not going to return and give up the pawn on g4, but it's going to stay there, and it's going to stay there forever until it gets taken. So
Oh.
this is where the sacrifice comes in, and you play g5. Well, and this we're still going through
Oh.
her game, so this is how the game went, but we're still in sort of in the theory. And now after the pawn recaptures, do you think we're going to recapture the knight?
Well, if you ask me like that, certainly not.
Certainly not. We're going to recapture the pawn. And this is where this line kind of starts. We're still in the theory portion, but these two pawns that we have here, they are going to be a very powerful force, and even even compensating for the piece. Thing is that this is still her game, by the way. So the thing is, if you move the knight for black, that's never going to be a good decision because of threats like queen h5, and now there's bishop c4 threats, g6 threats,
I
and it's
like it.
impossible to defend against all of them. So this is actually a losing move already if black retreats the knight, let's say, to d7. If black tries to capture the pawn, which looks like the most obvious move to consider, then now we're going to take the piece already, and this pawn is either going to stay annoying forever, or if you take it off the board, then you're going to lose to knight d5, and then bishop b6, knight c7. So I'm just showing how actually difficult it can be for black to figure out the best defense to this piece sacrifice.
Tough.
So it's not as simple as it looks. But the main line goes d5. So of course black is going to try to get counterplay back, and it's not going to be one-sided where it's only white attacking. Black is going to have some ideas of his own too. I'll make a few more theory moves, which are sort of forced for both sides if they don't want to get a losing position.
That's so crazy.
Long
I mean, for me,
castle.
it is crazy. I think most of the people who are watching this might have already played an opening like this exact and know some theory. If not, might be interesting to check it out.
Yeah, I
because
think
it
it's a
looks
very interesting
fascinating.
line.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think it's worth playing. When I was first looking it up, I think like a few years ago, the engine was not really a fan of some of these continuations, which people were playing. But before I looked at this game, I was just curious what the current and what the most recent engines say, and they have come to the conclusion that it's equal.
Jeez.
And
Engines are crazy.
but that being said, if it's equal, that means there's counterplay for both sides. So which side, let's say
Yeah.
here, would you rather play for? And which moves for white come to mind for you?
I want to play white and I want to play bishop c4.
Okay, so this position I think looks rather unusual because black is seriously underdeveloped, but he's also on the verge of winning a second free piece, right?
Yeah, give it to him. It's okay.
Yeah, which is quite a lot. So what you suggested, bishop c4, it's one of the main moves, I think.
Really? Wow.
That gives it, yeah, that gives equality. So this didn't happen in the game. Here white has a lot of choice of what to play. So one of the choices, like you said, is bishop c4, technically still one of the equal lines.
Okay.
The reason why it's equal is because there's some like long line where it ends in the perpetual check for someone. But that doesn't really matter because no one's going to play 25 moves and you can deviate at some point too. So the other options that I think could be considered are taking the piece. That is, I think, the first thing that people would look at. But taking the piece would not. It's not necessary to rush with taking this piece because you can still, you can still make progress in other ways. And
it's beautiful. The queen is almost gone because now there's a mate threat, right?
Yeah, there's some bishop g5 ideas, but also b2 should be considered, and so it's not that easy, but technically black is better here, but that's after some complicated.
Black is better. Oh gosh.
Yeah. So the thing about bishop here, I think, is that it can be countered with bishop h6 if that's.
Oh my gosh.
So
that's so nasty.
That doesn't quite win. Here, black is just taking over the initiative because the pieces are finally getting out. The other line, which was main line for a bit, was bishop taking on d4. So sacrificing the bishop in this way, and this is actually another one of Judith's games that was here, which she played against Kasimdzhanov, and she also had a very, very nice win. I can just show a bit of it. That's not the main game we're going to focus on, but her game that went against Kasimdzhanov had similar ideas to this opening, and she had some very nice tactics here. If you want to try to find one for white now.
Looks as if f6 is a good move.
F6 is not it.
Oh, no.
What was played?
Pardon me. Well, then let's take the bishop on g7.
That's also not what she played.
Oh, no. Wait, okay, let me.
It's actually about getting this rook like into the attack on the e file. And there's one quick way to do that.
Bishop c4.
Even quicker.
Bishop f7. Bishop b.
Teleporting the bishop.
Yeah, exactly. Bishop b5. It is interesting.
Bishop b5. Yes, and that's a nice move that
Gotcha.
wins a tempo or just gets an extra tempo to bring the rook into the game.
That is nice.
That was her winning combination, and she ended up winning this game after obviously a lot of complications, but still.
Wow, good defense.
After the extra piece falls, then there's nothing to do for Black. But anyways, coming back to the actual move of the game, it's bishop d2. So what you said, bishop c4 is pretty much a good move anyway, but this is one of the other main line options. So this is why I like this line, because there's just a lot of options to consider. Now, Black played a bit of a suspicious move with bishop g7.
So for me, by the way, this looks like, I mean, it doesn't have to do with this opening, but the Halloween attack is one of those openings where immediately you have a sacrifice and probably another one. There's 2 pawns up there. The king is open. It looks very similar, from this fashion.
But it's 2 pieces, so I feel like 2 pieces is a very rare case where you have that many sacrifice. So it's 2 pieces for 2 pawns. Usually what happens is that you're gonna get back one of the pieces. So like this knight on f6, like I said, it doesn't leave. It doesn't have time to leave. So you're going to get back one of them, and the rest you will play down a piece, but with the initiative against this king who doesn't have too many places to castle. So the game, Judith's game against Vichy, continued with rook g1. So that's the typical place for the rook to go. Of course, Black can bring back the knight, but that just wastes more time, and White can start to take over
has to be better for
the initiative. But this is why, like, you don't play it against the computer. The computer might find a way to not lose there with the 2 pieces and have a good defense. But I think in the actual games, like we see, it's very often that White gets a very good initiative. So this is, I think, an interesting moment. How would you play here for White, and how do you think the position can be improved?
That is a very interesting moment, because I am losing a little bit of the initiative now, or of the momentum I just had all the time. So how to do? I mean, I obviously wanted to get my bishop out for so long, so I think c4 is just like a move.
Well, the thing about the bishop on c4 is that right now it doesn't really have like an attack there. Once the king wasn't castled, then maybe you could think about some bishop f7s. But now that's not really a target. So it's really important to place to have a target with every move, because this is not somewhere where you can afford to not spend time.
Yeah. Okay. Tricky. Do you know it at home? I mean, I don't have to mention that. We have the board in the article. If you're watching this on YouTube, go to the chess article so you can replay, you can analyze, you can make your own moves, just so you know. It didn't help me, this little speech. So...
We're trying to buy time to come up with a solution.
But
don't try to come up with a solution that leads to mate, because it's just how to improve the pieces.
I see.
So
no, I wouldn't know.
So what Judith played was queen e3. The computer likes improving the queen this way better, but I think queen e3 is logical in itself too. But we'll just stick to what happened in the game. The queen went to e3, and the goal of doing this is that she eventually wants to push this f4 move and open up the diagonal for this bishop, which will become very powerful there if it ever opens up. So that's why the queen wanted to leave, and it wanted to leave to a good useful spot. It's also attacking on e5 here and just standing in the center, controlling a lot of things. Now, of course, the pawn cannot be taken because of which tactic? Do you see what white will do?
Well, it looks to me as if... Oh, there's a lot of options, but... Phew.
There is only one option where your beloved bishop comes out.
Uh-huh. Is there... So, is it bishop d3?
Not on d3.
c4.
I'll give you a hint.
No. Oh. It's so easy. Why don't I see that? Oh, gosh. It's
because
h3.
it's not a usual place for the bishop.
True. Thank you. I feel a little better.
So this is the tactic of why this pawn cannot be taken.
It could actually, because you're equal with pieces now.
Right, but that's the thing with gambits, right? Is when you gain back the material you sacrificed, you're super happy because that means you still kept some of your positional advantages and your initiative while also not being down material.
True.
So king went to h8 to get out of this whole rook's attack on the g file.
Yeah, I hate it when
now
that
f4,
happens.
like I said, was her plan to continue to open up the long diagonal, especially now that the king is there. And black plays queen b6 in the game. So this maneuver turned out to be strange after we see the rest of the game. And it became the reason for a lot of black's problems. So obviously, black just wanted to trade queens because when you're under attack, that's what you try to do. And trading queens will make his job a lot easier. But this move forces a queen to a much more active square, and the position suddenly opens up with new attacking possibilities. So where do you think white's queen should go?
Well, it is very interesting because I only see the spot g3, but...
and that's the right spot. Usually the first thing you see is right.
Hey, coach. No,
that's
but
the right spot. It's not that complicated. Not every question I ask is like a mate in 15.
Now, I think if I move it any other place, the queen can simply take the rook on g1, right?
Right. Do we care about the rooks at this point? Probably not. But yes, queen g3. Queen g3 is the move, and it makes sense to just put it on the g file.
True.
Now there's checkmate on g7 threatened. So the queen actually had to make the sad come back to h6. The thing is, if rook at g8 happened, which is what I would expect more than bringing back the queen, then your favorite move, bishop c4, which you have been telling me to play for the last 3 moves.
It's the second move I play in every chess game. Yeah, so yeah, that's very helpful.
So this bishop now comes in with a better with more force because of f7 being attacked. But anyways, in the game, queen h6 happened. And now this next move is the more fascinating one, which is a nice tactical resource that white has in this position. Try to find the next move for white.
King b1.
King b1 would be very deep. I think it's
pity.
It can make sense in some cases, but we can do faster things than that. Because think about it, is queen f4 a threat?
Oh. No, because, okay, I found the tactic.
Right. What is it?
Rook d6.
You got it. So we have a big rook lift here to all the way to d6. And that's what Judith played in the game too.
Jeez.
And of course, the point is just that the rook can't be taken because of the mate. And that's just a nice way to improve the rook, especially when this happens. So the pawn on f4 isn't even under attack, so protecting it wasn't a big deal because then the long diagonal opens up and white is going to win the bishop on g7. So yeah, and black continued with f6. So he defended from that rook attack. Try to find the next move. So the next move is very important because if white doesn't play it,
Oh no.
he will lose the advantage.
More pressure for me. Great.
And it is not exactly an easy move to
Okay.
find.
I think I feel the challenge, so I will find it
Okay.
now. This non-easy move. It's going to be...
It just doesn't look natural, but it's good once you see it.
Yeah. Poof. Very difficult. Very difficult. Okay, so what about... The more I think of it, the more I like it, I think. I like it, I think.
What?
Is it bishop d2?
It is bishop d2. You found it.
Yes! I feel great.
You solve some of the more challenging ones.
Yeah, the easy ones are just like...
So you see, bishop d2, it doesn't look too natural to bring back the bishop from the long diagonal where we wanted to have it all along. But this, once you think about black's threat, this move will come to mind, right? So you just think, what would black do if it was their turn? Well, they might consider taking the pawn here because the long diagonal is now closed. So maybe that means that this bishop actually isn't best on this diagonal anymore. And you can also notice that this queen is a bit stuck there. So that's how you can come to the conclusion of this bishop d2 move being good. So black, of course, sees the plan to open up the position and attack the queen. So they play e4.
That's
and close it up. So the next move is also pretty important. Which one of our pieces do you think needs to be improved?
Well, that's our favorite piece. It's the bishop on f1.
The light scored bishop. That's right. Where is it going?
It's the... Well, it still goes to c4, I guess, right?
It still goes to c4. The move you've been trying to make for so long. Now finally
you
on the board.
Thank you.
So black is still a piece up. If we want to take a moment to stop here, it's a piece for a pawn. But his pieces aren't really cooperating here. And still the rook and the bishop are not developed and we don't know when they will be. It's still not obvious for white because these positions are also really easy to mess up for the attacking side when you feel like everything is going well, but then suddenly you make a few slow moves and black the opponent just consolidates and has an extra piece. So white can still easily get a lost position with some wrong maneuver if she would waste too much time, but of course it's Judith, so she did not let that happen. After b5, the bishop went to e6. It could have also gone to d5.
Yeah, I would have chosen e6 too. I was looking at it all the time, yeah.
Yeah, so the bishop is now we're starting to attack some of the loose pieces that black has. And black needs to put his pieces into some weird, uncomfortable positions, such as the rook on a7. And usually a good way to play these positions is to just make a threat with every single move. And that's basically how she does it. So now rook c6 is created a pin. So sort of a pin, because now this knight can never leave, right? Because then the bishop will be taken. So that kind of blocks the knight and the bishop in place. And that's why the rook just decided that it would be better placed on c6. So now a5. Black is still trying to do something, still trying to create some threats, open up the white's king position. So once again, which piece do you think needs improvement here? What else can be improved in our position as white? They're very simple. I don't always ask you in complicated moments.
Okay, so how about we take the bishop on d2 and move it to, well, this actually, no, I think e3 might be better.
E3 is probably better than the long diagonal option because there you also have to consider b4 things. But on e3, now it's on a new diagonal with a new threat, and it's just standing better. So that's how you can improve. If there's a move that improves your position and also creates a forcing reply from the opponent, such as this one, like it just can't be bad. It's always going to be good unless it improves the opponent's position too.
Sure.
But usually moves like these can be made very quickly and generally be good. Now the bishop went to d5. What is white's threat after this bishop d5 move?
To take away the rook. And,
To take the rook.
No, not to take the rook, but to take the rook on b7. So exactly, taking on c8, that should work.
By playing rook c8. So once again, every move is a threat. So black has to defend and again make some strange choices with his pieces, bringing the rook back to b8. And the thing is, these moves aren't even like mistakes from Anand's side, but it's just because the position is really dominating for white, and she was basically better, if not winning, for this last little segment. For a big segment, but for this whole middle game, she was just in a dominating position. So the game finished quite soon. I'll get to the final tactic for you. So just to make sure there's nothing here, she even played b3 and made sure there were never any pawn breakthroughs. Now the bishop went here, rook f5, and there's now quite a simple tactic, which it was the last part of the combination here.
Is there...
Oh, you definitely see it.
Is it too obvious or what?
It's the one we've looked at before. Same story.
When... Same story what we looked at before.
Yeah. Very similar.
I actually am a bit confused. Nice tactic, similar to before.
It's very simple. Just look at which hanging pieces black has.
But I mean, it's like taking on d7, right? I mean, it's super obvious, but
it's taking on c8, but
oh no.
It's the same thing as before.
Oh yes, you're right. But taking on d7 would also win a piece, but taking on c8 would even win more. Yes, I agree.
Yeah, so
didn't see that. Funny.
No, the thing with this, it can also win, but it's I guess quite similar to what you said. But taking on c8, anyways, the idea is just that these two pieces are hanging. So now what happened is that Anand lost part of his compensation for his for this
piece, which
positional misery that he was in, and the game is pretty much over already by all positional means, even though the material is equal. But if you just look at pieces, they're like much better in every single case. Every piece of white is many times better than every piece of black. And there is a nice finishing move which just finishes it off for white in winning a pawn.
Winning a pawn.
I mean, there's many moves that win, but I just liked this one.
So check, bam. No, that's not working. Queen g4, also not working. Well,
Well, which pawn are you trying to win?
That I don't know. Well, it looks like it's e4.
It's going to be e4. It's just a move that attacks that pawn.
Is it queen g2?
It's just queen g2, and the thing is that there's none of black's pieces can defend it now. I just thought it was a nice finishing touch after
It is a nice finishing touch. It's true.
Because whatever black does, the pawn is going to fall, and the point is that also from there the queen will be threatening checkmate and everything. So
what a game!
This game, it seems, for what I find for a lot of Judith's games, is that they seem really like effortless with you don't even notice where where she even started winning and how it happened, but this was one of her like very clean games, and especially against such a great player like Vichy, it's definitely not easy to be dominating the whole game. And yeah, it also showed this interesting opening line, which is the Keres attack. Do we have time for maybe another brief?
Let's go for it.
Okay, so I wanted to show another one of her famous games. This one, she's going to be black. So once again, I'm not going to start from the beginning because we won't see the whole game. So this one is more of just a sort of a tactical moment. And here she was playing against Alexei Shirov, and she was playing black. So this is a particularly famous moment, which is the start of a nice combination. So try to look for a move for black. Once again, it is not difficult if you follow the whole process of, checks, captures, threats, and you'll find the tactical idea easily, but there's a nice continuation to it. What are some of the first moves that come to mind for you as black?
I will tell you in a second. Because for you at home, of course, if you do not know the answer, which I think I know already, it's always good to pause the video for a second. Think on it on your own. Svitlana's smart moves is for actively learning chess, for improving tactics, different situations, and it's here on YouTube. So just go for it and take this lesson and be an active part, just like I am here. I have the advantage, of course. I can already be active with my coach immediately here. So I'm thinking of queen takes g5.
Right. So the idea of this queen g5 move is that it's not really a queen sacrifice, because it will be, in case white takes it, it will be regained back with this knight f3 move, and it's just a fork, and the knight can just take the queen on the next move, and you just ended up winning an important pawn. But
then I'm just seeing like that my poor knight is hanging on f5.
Well, it's not hanging in these lines because
Thank you. Sorry.
And that was also the point here, is that this bishop here always protects on this diagonal.
Yes.
This knight is not didn't necessarily have to leave just yet. So a few things to consider. What if white plays knight e to d4? How would you continue this? Because now he just defended to the f3 square, so the queen will be taken next turn.
That's not nice. Well, can I not just... no, I cannot. Oh, that is interesting.
Did you find something?
Well, no, but I don't think I have. I mean, I could just take on h5, but I doubt this is the correct move. There must be something.
Yeah, it's not just taking on h5, even though there can be many moves which are logical here, but there's one that's kind of is the most decisive.
So now I have to stop the video because you at home know it already, probably. I'm sorry for that. You can fast forward now.
That's why I stop at a lot of moments, because while it can be really quick in some in some parts, it's not always. I range the questions from being easy to a bit harder, and sometimes it even takes you a different amount of time for what I considered that you would think you would find in seconds.
Yes.
Sometimes you don't, and vice versa when you find something very quickly, which I didn't expect.
Don't see anything like so threatening that I would go like, this is it move.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you the hint that you should keep focusing on this square.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so then I will do what I was thinking of. I will take on d4.
You want to take on d4?
Oh, it doesn't
okay,
work.
Well, I'll take back with the knight though.
Yeah, doesn't work.
And f3 is still protected.
So what if I... Wow, don't know. If this is the hint, I'm still not getting all of this.
Well, you want one of the knights is already there attacking on f3.
Yes.
And white is defending it with one of his knights. So is there any way we can get a second threat there?
Oh. Well, I just thought like I cannot get the knight away from there, which is protecting this spot. But
But how else can we attack this square?
well, is it knight h4?
It's yeah, that's what that's the line that can be given. I think your knight d4 is also pretty good, but knight h4 I just think is quite nice because we keep the exact same threat. We just do it a second time after they defend it.
True.
So the queen will have to move, and if it takes, then the same thing happens, just with an extra exchange of knights. But yeah, so in the game, knight a5 was played, and the bishop on b7 is now attacked. And as we saw, it's a really important piece in the combination because it prevents the knight on f5 from being taken in all of these lines. So this one is actually quite a testing line. And this is, I think, the harder part of the combination probably.
So it's good
is
for
to
me.
Find the next move that black played. Just because there's so many options, and it looks like, it looks like all of black's pieces are doing a good job, but white is also trying to make some decisive things like trading this b7 bishop, which we cannot allow, but it's not about b7 bishop anyway for now. So here we just need to make sure the attack is strong and decisive.
Oh boy, I still cannot get it again.
So you can just tell me your candidate moves or something like that. That's how I usually try to solve tactical positions.
Okay, you're right. I have to do something. So I'm thinking of queen takes h5, I mean. I'm thinking of bishop h6.
So some of them we can eliminate right away, right? Because let's say bishop h6, what's going to happen if they just take it and take the bishop on b7?
Then they have a piece more. That's what's going to happen.
Right. So that's how you can sometimes just look at the candidate move, think about what's wrong with it and why you don't look in that direction anymore.
That's also not working. Oh, wow.
h5 also, your queen h5 also, I think, I mean, can I just take it? Probably. You don't have the mate yet, even though it looks scary, but there's no mate right now.
Okay, so this is frustrating. This is rather frustrating.
The move itself isn't that difficult, but I think you just need to even consider it in that direction.
Okay, so how about knight to e3?
Okay, and what's your idea of knight?
Attacking the queen. If it's taken back, I have my queen in a very threatening position and can follow up with knight f3 and checkmate on d2.
Perfect. So knight e3 in itself, this is the right move, and that's the move that was played in the game.
Took a bit too long.
And you first, that's how you can solve these tactical positions, is you look at the most threatening moves you can possibly find, and this one is very threatening because you're already attacking the queen and attacking on c2, which is not.
Didn't even see that.
Well, that's one of the main points of this move, is that it attacks both of them. But like you said, if the bishop is going to take it, we can have our queen in a very threatening square. Not only is it standing there, but it threatens this mate on d2. So you said follow up with knight f3, and this would be mate. So this is why it sort of protects that piece. And the fun part is that also if queen takes on g5, knight f3 is not just the winning of the queen, but it's also mate.
It's
so imagine
beautiful.
how nice it would be to finish a game like this.
Against Shirov.
I feel like Shirov could have just, like, why not just let
yes,
this
let this be like
happen
a beautiful
and
game
win the
example.
beauty prize.
Yeah.
But still, he went on with queen g3, which was pretty simply finished off by simple trade of queens, and then this knight c2 idea. She eventually was just up an exchange. It still went on for a bit more, but this is the kind of thing, the kind of material advantage that Judith can convert in no time. So especially White's pieces aren't too threatening at this moment. So this extra exchange didn't really help in this endgame. It helped Black. It just didn't, White didn't have enough counterplay for it. So that was just this queen g5 was a famous moment that leads to nice tactics. And it's not often that you get to see these two knights contributing to a mating attack. So I think that would be it for today.
That was awesome. Well, Judit Polgar. So just you can unshare the screen. So just for I just want to know, is Judith, you say it's your favorite player probably. Was she, I think we had the interview and I don't recall if that was the case, but she was not your main inspiration to start chess or to keep on with it, was she?
No, well, I think in our interview I said that just the Polgar sisters were my favorite trio, or however you want to call it. I think at the very beginning, it wasn't. I wasn't really reading their books or anything, but I did like a few years in, and then when I'm like close to the US, I obviously got to see a lot of Susan's tournament because Susan Polgar lives in the US.
Gotcha.
And she has her own foundation and has a lot of tournaments, especially for girls, which is how I got to know a bit more about them and started reading all of their books. And that's how I really like what they do and what they continue to do for women's chess.
Nice. Did you do anything special on the World Women Day? Was there...
I did homework as usual.
Well, what a treat. You are so busy, so diligent with all your work, and you're doing such a nice impact with the chess. I hope all of you at home enjoyed it as much as I did. See you guys soon. Bye-bye.